Let us talk about the son of the South. Let's talk about Alabama. A lot been going on at Alabama in the last month, literally the last month. Nick Saban steps down. You have a coaching search that leads to Kalen DeBoer at Washington. He comes down and wants to bring his staff with him. I think this is interesting because Kalen DeBoer has gone out of his way to say, look, the continuity of my staff is the strength of my programs. The guys that I have are the guys that stay with me. Everybody knows how this thing is supposed to run, and I trust them to run it. That was very clear when he became head coach at Alabama. He's not trying to upset what Alabama has done, get himself inside of what the process is, and then build from within. One of the key pieces to that, many people thought, was Ryan Grubb, offensive coordinator at Washington, been with Kalen DeBoer for some time, was pouring concrete, now he's calling plays. Over the last month, there's been some speculation about what Ryan Grubb wants to do, because as soon as Kalen DeBoer took that job, it wasn't a slam dunk that Ryan Grubb was going to be the offensive coordinator at Alabama. He wanted to be the head coach at Washington. And when he did not get that job, he took to Twitter to tell people, hey, look, I wanted to do it. I'm sorry that I couldn't get it done, but we're going to go to Alabama. We're going to try to build something. On February 9th, which is the same day that Bill O'Brien left Ohio State for BC, Chip Kelly left UCLA for Ohio State, Ryan Grubb left Alabama for the Seattle Seahawks to join Mike McDonald. The timing of this cannot be missed, because the timing of his decision to leave Alabama was also the day that the 30-day transfer window for Alabama players closed following Nick Saban's announcement that he was going to retire. Changing head coach means you got 30 days to enter the portal and see what's out there. Now, do I think that most of the kids that were going to transfer already transferred before Ryan Grubb made this decision? Absolutely. I don't think it's that sinister, but I would be remiss if I did not point that out. I'll also tell you, the man was recruiting. I know this for fact. He also was showing up to Alabama events. I think he was even introduced at an Alabama men's basketball game on signing day. Okay, so his heart was in it until it was not, which is what I expect from coaches, what I expect from anybody in a job, right? Like, I'm a F1 fan. Lewis Hamilton is going to race his last year for Mercedes before he goes to Ferrari. I think he wants to win a world championship in Mercedes. I think Ryan Grubb was building toward a national championship at Alabama, but given the opportunity to return back to Seattle, to be in the NFL, to call plays, I don't expect him to miss that or pass that up. Also, cool note here. The sons of Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, right, are at the Washington staff, right? And now we're looking at Jay Harbaugh also at Seattle as the son of Jim Harbaugh. Hall of Fame coaches giving Hall of Fame progeny opportunities, and then those guys going out and making a name for themselves is kind of fun. It's fun for me. But now we have a vacancy at Alabama with Ryan Grubb going to Seattle, which leads me back to this other really interesting note. Alabama is going to have to hire its 9th offensive coordinator in 11 years. Check this out. Since 2013, Alabama offensive coordinators go Doug Musmeyer, Lane Kiffin, Brian Dable, Mike Loxley, Steve Sarkisian, Bill O'Brien, Tommy Rees, Ryan Grubb for a month, and now what we think is going to be 35-year-old former Bama tight end and former Washington tight ends coach Nick Sheridan. If that name sounds familiar to you, it's because it should. Right? Nick was on that staff in 2020, 2019, when Kalen DeBoer was offensive coordinator in Indiana, helping groom Michael Penix. I also would like to point out that Nick Sheridan had a hand in tutoring Josh Dobbs at Tennessee. For those of y'all that watch a lot of the NFL and saw what he was able to do on the fly with the Minnesota Vikings, not knowing any of the terminology, any of the plays, goes out there, executes for Kevin O'Connell. Outstanding. But you know what? That dude is a literal astronaut engineer. So, that's what it is. Maybe there's something to that. And maybe there's something to Nick Sheridan being in on recruiting those sorts of players, to say nothing of the kind of players that he has at the quarterback position right now. I also add in here, Bill Sheridan, his daddy, been coaching for a long time. As a matter of fact, Bill Sheridan, Nick Sheridan's father, is on the very short list of men who have won a Super Bowl and an XFL championship. He's linebackers coach for the Arlington Renegades. That one's free, as I am absolutely covering the United Football League and having a good time doing it. But what does this mean for Kalen DeBoer? It means he gets to keep his continuity, right? Nick Sheridan knows the offense, knows what he is responsible for, and frankly has been an offensive coordinator before. He was last offensive coordinator at Indiana 2021 after Kalen DeBoer left that job for Fresno State. it didn't go exactly the way that you planned, but I think that's one indication for why Kalen DeBoer is like, no. You know how it went the first time, and now you get to do it again. You get to do it with me this time, right? I think that Nick Sheridan's in a great spot to make a name for himself on a national scale, given what Alabama means and given what that position offensive coordinator could mean for him in the future. Maybe we're talking about Alabama having a 10th offensive coordinator hire in 12 years in 2025. If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.